Okay, so now that we've got our translating words up here, we're going to use those as a reference sheet to write each phrase as a numerical or algebraic expression. And I'm just going to kind of touch on some vocab that we'll hit again later on, but numerical, you should see, kind of sounds like number. Those are expressions that have only numbers. Algebraic kind of sounds like or starts like alphabet, and so those are ones that have letters that we call variables. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through Z. Algebraic expressions have letters. So we'll kind of be looking at that. Like if you look at the bottom here, this is an algebraic expression because it has a letter Z in it. The next one is a numerical expression because it has only numbers. So numerical is numbers, algebraic is alphabet, and an expression does not have an equal sign. So it's really important that we write these without equal signs. Equations, if you think about the word equation kind of starts out like equal. Equations have an equal sign. Equations have equal signs. Expressions do not. So we'll be writing all of these without equal signs. So that's just a little bit of background on vocab. So number one, we've got 4 less than 8. If you remember less than, if you look, is one of the words that we start up here, and we said we have to do backwards. And so we know that 4 less than 8 actually means we start with 8 and we're taking 4 out of that, away from that. And so if we're going to write that as a phrase, a numerical phrase, because we've got 2 numbers, we're going to write this as 8 minus 4. And that makes more sense than 4 minus 8 because we don't even know at this point, or you don't need to know how to do 4 minus 8. It makes more sense to do 8 minus 4 because we know there is an answer to that. For number 2, we've got Q divided by 3. Divided by is one of our division words. And so divide or divided by. Q divided by 3, we can write 2 different ways. We can write Q with the division sign and then 3. Or, now that you're 6th graders, we've kind of got a fancy way. The fraction bar also means to divide. And so we can write Q over 3, and this fraction bar is like a division symbol. So you kind of have 2 different options, and I'm actually going to put a little hook on these so it doesn't look like a 9. And we know that it's a Q. F minus 6. Minus is one of those subtraction words. It's not starred, so we don't do it backwards, so I'm just going to put F first, my subtraction sign, and 6. That is an algebraic expression because it has an alphabet letter, F minus 6. And D multiplied by 9. Multiplied or multiplied by is a times word. So I could say D times 9. Or, here's our new fancy way of writing it as big 6th graders. D times 9, when we have a variable and a number that are being multiplied, we can put the number in front and we can put it next to a variable, and that means to multiply. So 9D means that we're multiplying 9 and D. And that is what we call another algebraic expression because it has an alphabet letter, letter D. And so both of those, D times 9 or 9D, would be considered algebraic expressions. They don't have an equal sign, so they're expressions. They have a letter, so they're considered algebraic. If you want to, I would challenge you to pause the video and try these next 3 on your own, and then check your answers when we're done. So 26 added to 10, just like we starred less than, we starred added to in our notes up here. And remember, that means that we're going to write them backwards. So instead of 26 plus 10, we're going to do 10 plus 26. Because they're saying that 26 is added to the original number of 10. So 10 has to be written first. Order does matter when we write these expressions. 9 less than B, and less than is another tricky one because we've got to write it backwards. Instead of 9 minus B, we've got to go backwards and write B minus 9 because it's one of those do backwards phrases. We start with B and we're going to take 9 out of that. And then this last one, 5 times 6 times is one of those multiply by words. I can use the dot or the little x, 5 times 6, to write my numerical expression. Notice that this is numerical because it's got two numbers. There are no letters, so it's numerical, and it's an expression because there isn't an equal sign. And so here you've now been able to write each phrase as a numerical or algebraic expression. When we go to the bottom, we're going to be doing the opposite.